The David case is worse than we thought.
Now, most people have already heard about this story.
Okay.
Popular singer David, spelled D4Vd, was arrested in connection with the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. But what's come out since then changes everything. The motive, the timeline, and what happened the last night Celeste was ever seen when David invited her to his home in the Hollywood Hills, and she never came back.
Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time, went to Mr. Burke's house in the Hollywood Hills.
And what happened?
She was never heard from again.
This is so messed up about this dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like, he literally was dating like a 13-year-old girl and took her to his house and killed her. Like, yo, what's up with that?
And months later, in September 2025, that's when everything changed.
Police say the car had been at the lot for a couple of days. When asked about reports the vehicle is registered to 20-year-old singer David.
He was on tour too, by the way, whenever like all of this came out about him.
Because inside a car registered to the singer, investigators made a discovery. Remains found in the front trunk, unidentified at the time. After sitting there for months, it was eventually revealed that those remains belonged to 14-year-old Celeste Rivas.
Yeah, it was crazy too because he was on tour at the same time, and I heard that he tried to do this so like it wouldn't like line up to him, because apparently if like a girl's found dead in your car and you're on tour, you have nothing to do with it.
A teenage girl from Riverside County, California, who had initially been reported missing back in April 2024. Celeste had disappeared out of Lake Elsinore.
He had a song about her too, which is like crazy. You're just self-incriminating at that point.
The same month. According to authorities, her family searched, put out flyers, shared her photos, asking anyone with information to come forward, hoping their daughter would be found. The family had reported Celeste missing from her hometown of Lake Elsinore, about 70 miles outside of Los Angeles. She was just a 7th grader, and Celeste had run away before, and at one point, she did return home. But after leaving again, this time, she never came back.
Yeah, he definitely killed her. And plus, didn't her parents like know that she was hanging out with David, but he like paid them or something?
For months, there were questions
and
no answers about her whereabouts. But eventually, in September 2025, they would learn the truth, that Celeste was no longer missing. She had been killed. And as her family was continuing to come to terms with that, things were only just beginning to unfold. Within 48 hours of Celeste being officially identified, investigators made their next move, executing a search warrant overnight at a home in the Hollywood Hills area.
Yeah, didn't they like find acid and stuff for like the body where he melted her and stuff?
Executing a search warrant overnight at a home in the Hollywood Hills area, where David, D4Vd, Burke, had been living. And from that point, the investigation started to unravel. But for the public, very little was known. Details were limited in this case, and questions kept coming up. Until recently, because just recently, David was arrested in connection with the case.
He was like a Fortnite YouTuber. Why is it always the people who do like gaming videos and stuff, they always come out with like something weird? Like first we had Dream and next it was David. Like what else?
Sent shockwaves across social media.
It's always like Minecraft YouTubers.
But now, after all this time, the case against David is starting to become a lot clearer. We now know that he's now facing a first-degree murder charge. And now we actually have his mugshot.
He looks like he was like on meth or something in this mugshot, but I mean, it's not possible because he was in jail. But look how oiled up his face is. That's just crazy.
Let's just take a second and really look at this.
He's doing like the 1,000-yard stare.
We now also have what they say was the motive, a timeline of what allegedly happened, and the evidence they claim to have. And when you put all of it together, this case becomes a lot worse than people thought. Now, to really understand how this even got to that point, we have to go back to on or about April 23rd, 2025, when, according to investigators, David invited Celeste to his home in the Hollywood Hills area.
Why did he invite her?
And according to investigators, this was the last time she was known to be alive.
Why did he invite her? Was he like gonna smash like whenever she came over?
Now, up until this point,
there
had been speculation about the nature of his involvement with Celeste. And it's important to be clear here, we're talking about a grown man and a minor. According to investigators, that is no longer speculation. They allege that David was sexually involved with Celeste, and that this began when she was under the age of 14.
What if like she was about to have a kid and that's why he killed her?
During the course of our investigation, detectives learned that she had been involved in a sexual relationship with Mr. Burke.
He's a grown man too, which makes it even weirder. Because whenever you're talking about it, he is a grown man and she was like 13 or 14 years old whenever they were doing all this. That's crazy, bro.
When she was a minor and he was an adult.
But it doesn't stop there.
Arrest this man.
Because according to the criminal complaint, investigators say Celeste had at one point been living with David And in
Dang.
their words, he had recurring access to her, which meant this wasn't something distant or limited. This was direct access over a period of time.
I heard that he like killed her and stuff because she was threatening to expose him when he just ended his whole career. Like, you killed a girl to ruin your own career when she was just gonna ruin it for you. That just shows how selfish he was, because he ended up ruining his own career anyways.
When it comes to that last night Celeste was alive, this is when they say things took a much darker turn.
What
They
happened?
allege that at some point after Celeste arrived to David's home, she threatened to expose the relationship between the two,
Exactly, that's what I heard. But this man just ended up ruining his whole career.
including the fact that it began when she was underage, which David of course knew could seriously damage his career. At the
Exactly.
time, David was a rising mainstream artist, and just 2 days earlier, he had announced a Withered World Tour, a global tour set to take him across multiple countries as his career was continuing to expand. And that detail matters. According to
Exactly.
investigators, this is where the motive comes in. See, investigators believe that once Celeste became a threat to David, after she threatened to expose their relationship,
That's when
the
he killed her.
situation escalated. And what happened next, they say, is where things went downhill.
This murder was committed for financial gain.
How is this committed for financial gain? I swear he just killed her so he didn't like fall off or whatever.
As the evidence will show in court, the financial gain was for Mr. Burke to maintain his very lucrative musical career that Celeste was threatening.
Oh, now I get it. Because he killed her because he knew that he was going to like fall off or whatever and lose money. And that's why they're trying to say that he killed her for financial gain.
They allege that after she threatened to expose him, the situation escalated into her murder. However, it didn't stop there.
Bro, this mugshot is just so weird. Like, he's looking off to the side. He doesn't even want to look at the camera.
Alleged that on or about May
It's
5th,
crazy.
2025, Celeste's remains were further altered. Her remains were later found inside a vehicle connected to David, of course, that we know, where they had been left for months before finally being discovered at an impound lot in September 2025 in Los Angeles. And the evidence they have is what they say connects him to what happened to Celeste. Now, getting into the specifics, this criminal complaint against David also includes special circumstances. And these are very important because they make the case significantly more serious. According to the complaint, one of those is murder for financial gain. Another is the murder of a witness.
Murder of a witness, like a murder of someone who he cracked? Because I feel like he wouldn't have killed her because she witnessed that. It's probably just for financial gain.
With Celeste being considered that witness. And the third is what's called lying in wait, which means police believe the act was carried out in a deliberate and concealed manner. The complaint also alleges,
isn't that just like premeditated murder or something?
That David personally used a deadly weapon, described as a sharp instrument, in what happened to Celeste. In other words, they allege a sharp object was used in the killing of Celeste.
This man probably used a katana. I would not be surprised.
Now that lying in wait part, that's important to understand. Because in legal terms, it's not just about what happened. It's about how it allegedly happened. Lying in wait basically means someone waits, watches, and then carries out a surprise attack. In other words, it suggests planning and it suggests intent. Now, if you try to picture this for a second, Celeste shows up to the home she was invited to by David, not knowing what she's actually walking into.
So technically, this is just premeditated.
And according to authorities, what happened next was anything but expected. They allege this wasn't random, but something that involved waiting, concealment, and a deliberate act in what happened to Celeste. And legally, that makes the case much more serious. Because when or if prosecutors are able to prove something like that, it can elevate the charges and significantly increase the potential consequences. Now, to really understand how this even got to that point, we have to go back to 2023, when this situation, not relationship, situation involving David and Celeste was already developing behind the scenes. At this point, authorities say the two were already sexually involved.
While this man was like blowing up, I'm pretty sure he's like a Fortnite YouTuber. He was definitely like texting her, because I heard that there was like Discord texts and stuff inside of their server.
Celeste was still under the age of 14, but the full extent of it is still not entirely clear. What we do know is this. According to the criminal complaint, between September 7th, 2023 and September 7th, 2024, David was reportedly involved with Celeste during that time. And this wasn't a one-time situation. Prosecutors allege that this was ongoing over an extended period of time. It's also during this time that investigators say Celeste had at one point been living under the same roof as David.
That's crazy. Like, her parents let her do that, or she just ran away or something? Because you can't really run away from home and stay at someone's house for that long, so her parents definitely let her stay there.
Now, one thing
It's
that's still
kind of
not
her
entirely
parents'
clear
fault,
at the time
if
of me
that's
recording
true.
this video is how exactly Celeste being considered a witness fits into everything we're talking about right now. Although this is included in the complaint, they haven't fully explained what they're specifically referring to, or exactly what she may have been a witness to. Now, based on what's been alleged so far and what we know so far, you can start to piece everything together yourself in your head, if you get what I mean, right? Especially considering that they've already said she was threatening to expose the relationship. So one can only assume that she was a witness in her own case. You get what I'm saying? But we don't know that yet. So as of right now, that part of the case hasn't been fully laid out publicly.
The details of the allegations that have made, particularly with that special circumstance, will be produced in court.
Now we're at a point where we know, according to the authorities, that there was an ongoing situation between the two, that Celeste at one point was living under the same roof as David, and that he had direct and recurring access to her. And on that final night,
they definitely like smashed every night or something weird like that. Cause bro, when it comes down to David, he is like one of the weirdest individuals of all time. Like, this man was always posting him flicked up or something in like something that had to do with death.
She threatened to expose that. And from there, they allege everything escalated, leading to her murder. Now, one of the biggest questions people have been asking is, why did all this take so long? Why did it take this long for the police to make an arrest? And according to the authorities, a big part of that comes down to the condition of Celeste's remains.
Yeah, he like melted her or something in acid and then put her in the back of his Tesla. Like, bro, you are just making yourself even more of a victim. Like, she was in the back of your Tesla. You could have like hit her.
How much time had passed between her death and when she was unfortunately discovered in the manner she was discovered? It delayed the medical examiner's ability to determine a clear cause of death. And that also meant that crucial evidence had either degraded or completely disappeared over time, unfortunately. On top of that, investigators were also dealing with something else, a massive amount of false information that was spreading online. If you guys remember, when the story first broke, things were pretty chaotic.
Bro, everyone on TikTok was making up like the weirdest stories, talking about like how they were like cousins or something. When in reality, this man was just sick in the head and he was dating a minor and he ended up killing her.
There was a lot being said, and the majority of it was actually not accurate. And even a lot of very popular media outlets ended up pushing information that wasn't fully verified at all. And because law enforcement had to sort through all of that information while trying to piece together what was done to Celeste, it made this investigation that much more difficult, and ultimately, that's what added all this time to it. Now, another key reason why this case took time is because, according to the authorities, there was no direct eyewitness who actually saw what happened to Celeste.
Bro, the thing I do remember though, I remember the night he like got caught doing all of this, and I checked on TikTok, and bro, I thought all of this was fake until like the next day they were like going into his house and everything and like trying to find all the stuff.
And on top of that, they also didn't have any clear footage that directly shows David committing the act. So what that meant was investigators had to rely on something else, a full and extremely thorough investigation. They went through digital evidence, they went through forensic evidence, and every lead they could find, while also speaking to witnesses. And according to the authorities, not everyone they spoke to was cooperative. So before bringing any charges, they wanted the highest level of confirmation possible based on everything they had collected. And that brings us to another question people have been asking.
What is it?
What makes them so confident that they can actually prove this case?
Yeah, that's what I've been wondering. Like, what if like this is all a big misunderstanding and he's like actually innocent? But there is a lot of evidence, I'm not gonna lie. Like, even the chats in their Discord stuff, that just proves it all.
It comes down to the totality of the evidence. They say they have a combination of physical evidence, forensic evidence, and digital evidence that they plan to present in court. In fact, they say the amount of evidence collected totals over 40 terabytes.
40 terabytes of evidence. Just to put that in perspective, 1 terabyte's 100 gigabytes. Like, that's a crazy amount. Like, my PC, I think it has like 2 terabytes or 1 terabyte or something like that. But you have 40 terabytes of stuff that just shows that they were dating and everything and he killed her.
And based on everything they've gathered,
that's wild.
They believe they can prove their case against David beyond a reasonable doubt. At the same time, his legal team is pushing to move things forward requesting a preliminary hearing within the next 10 days.
I'm pretty sure his lawyer or someone like put that he was not guilty or no contest or something, which makes zero sense with all the evidence. Like, you're not about to say that you had nothing to do with this whenever you had everything to do with this.
Right now, we don't know exactly what that evidence is or what it looks like in detail. And anyone who tells you that they have that evidence is obviously lying. But that's something we're likely going to learn very soon. What we do know is that based on everything that's been laid out so far, this case is way worse than we thought, and we're only just starting to see what it looks like. Now, with all that being said, I think it's important we stay focused on what actually happened here. A child lost her life.
Exactly.
And that's something that shouldn't get lost in all these very grim and dark details.
Like I said earlier, I am pretty sure that David like paid her family and everything to keep quiet.
Or all the noise around his case. Celeste had her whole life ahead of her. You know, it was taken from her, and it was all taken from her in a situation she should have never been in to begin with. And that's not something anyone can put on her.
Exactly.
Because Celeste was a child, and children aren't capable of understanding the kind of situations they're being placed in. It's just tragic. And it's a reminder of how important it is that we protect children in this world and take situations like this seriously. Rest in peace to Celeste Rivas. And I hope justice is served.
Alright YouTube, that's all for today's video. Make sure you guys subscribe down below. Also join the Discord and subscribe to my second channel, RIP to Celeste, so that is pretty crazy. NVL on top, and until next time, I'm out.